Welcome to this video, where we will delve deeply into the timeless world of Stoic philosophy and uncover how 10 fundamental Stoic principles can guide you to respond to disrespect with unshakable poise and inner strength. In a world where confrontation, criticism, and outright insults can arise at any moment, at work, in our personal relationships, or even on social media, learning how to handle these moments with composure and clarity can make an immense difference in how we experience our daily lives. This video aims not only to provide you with actionable guidance, but also to show you why these Stoic principles remain as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. By understanding and implementing these lessons, you can transform what might feel like a personal attack into a catalyst for personal growth, greater resilience, and a more fulfilling, meaningful existence. As you immerse yourself in these ideas, you will come to realize that responding to disrespect with grace is not about repressing your emotions or allowing others to walk all over you, but rather about learning to see each challenging interaction as an opportunity to demonstrate virtue, maintain your inner peace, and evolve into a more complete version of yourself. Ultimately, these Stoic principles provide a blueprint for turning adversity into a source of strength, helping you rise above negativity and maintain your moral center no matter what the world throws your way. Before we explore the specific principles, it is important to understand what Stoicism actually is and why it has endured for so long. Stoicism is an ancient Greco-Roman philosophy founded by Zeno of Citium and later developed by thinkers like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius. Far from being an obsolete system of thought, Stoicism has seen a remarkable resurgence in modern times, precisely because it offers a practical framework for dealing with life's inevitable hardships. Stoicism teaches that while we cannot control external events, we can control our internal responses. It reminds us that we have power over our judgments, our intentions, and our actions. Such a philosophy is particularly relevant when confronting moments of disrespect, as it helps us navigate between two extremes, lashing out in anger or surrendering to humiliation. Instead, it encourages us to find a third path, one of calm awareness and constructive engagement. Understanding this foundation will help you appreciate the Stoic approach to handling insults, criticism, and rude behavior. Embracing Stoic thought does not mean becoming emotionless or passive. Rather, it means cultivating emotional resilience, clarity of thought, and moral courage. In the face of insults and disrespect, these virtues become tools that allow you to pause before reacting. Imagine encountering a heated comment from a colleague, receiving harsh criticism online, or dealing with a rude stranger on the street. Without any guiding principles, you might find yourself consumed by anger or sadness. You might lash out or withdraw, potentially escalating the conflict or harming your emotional well-being. With Stoic principles, however, you can slow down the cycle of emotional escalation, adopt a stance of measured response, and ultimately transform a painful interaction into an empowering moment. Many people today look to Stoic philosophy because it integrates seamlessly with modern approaches like cognitive behavioral therapy, which encourages reframing our perspectives to reduce stress and anxiety. In fact, psychological research supports the benefits of controlling how we interpret events, showing that cognitive reappraisal techniques can lower negative emotional responses. Stoicism, in this sense, anticipated these modern insights by centuries, offering a time-tested method to handle disrespect and other challenges with composure and rational thought. Before we focus on the 10 principles themselves, consider why mastering them is so important. Disrespect can come from anywhere. It could be a coworker belittling your ideas during a meeting, a friend making a cutting remark, or a stranger leaving a cruel comment on your social media post. Each instance of disrespect can feel deeply personal. Without a framework, we might internalize these moments and let them corrode our self-esteem. We might also react impulsively, saying things in the heat of emotion that we later regret. By using Stoic principles, you can break this destructive cycle. Over time, you will realize that these principles are not abstract moral lessons. They are tools you can put into practice immediately. They show you how to maintain perspective, how to differentiate between what you can and cannot control, how to transform insults into opportunities for growth, and how to remain indifferent to opinions that do not truly matter. Consider how much personal freedom you gain when you no longer hand over your emotional well-being to someone else's rude words. Consider how much mental energy you save when, instead of dwelling on insults, you focus on what is constructive, truthful, and beneficial to your character. The first principle revolves around understanding the nature of control. At the core of Stoicism lies the dichotomy of control. Some things are within your power, such as your thoughts, choices, and actions, while others, including other people's opinions and behaviors, lie outside your sphere of influence. When someone disrespects you, it is tempting to try to control their attitude or force them to think more positively about you. Yet this is a battle you cannot win. Stoic philosophy encourages you to shift your attention to what you can control, your interpretation of the event and your response. Marcus Aurelius, for example, wrote extensively about not being troubled by what others say or think, but rather by how we judge those perceptions. By focusing on your inner response, you become empowered. Disrespect is no longer something that mandates an emotional meltdown. It becomes neutral data that you can choose to interpret constructively. This reframing can be supported by modern psychological studies on locus of control, which show that individuals who believe they have control over their reactions tend to be more resilient. As you integrate this principle into your life, remind yourself during conflicts that while you cannot dictate another person's words, you can dictate your state of mind and your subsequent actions. The second principle emphasizes the importance of pausing before reacting. In the heat of the moment, when insults fly, emotions surge. We might feel our heart rate accelerate, our face flush, and our thoughts race toward retaliation. Stoicism teaches you to introduce a deliberate pause, a moment of reflection, before you reply or act. This gap between stimulus and response allows your rational mind to regain control. A simple practice, grounded in both Stoic wisdom and modern mindfulness techniques, is to take a slow, deep breath, observe the feeling that arises, and acknowledge it without immediately acting on it. By practicing this regularly, you will find that this brief pause can dissipate the intensity of anger or hurt. Modern research supports the effectiveness of mindfulness in conflict situations, showing that a brief moment of calm reflection can reduce aggressive tendencies. Instead of blurting out something harmful, you can choose a response aligned with your values. This step-by-step improvement in managing your reactions will not only reduce regrets, but also reinforce your self-trust, showing you that you can handle confrontation without losing your composure. Third, Stoicism encourages reframing insults through cognitive reappraisal. When someone disrespects you, you can choose to interpret that behavior in a way that reduces its power over you. Perhaps the person is speaking from their own pain, ignorance, or fear. Perhaps the comment, though harsh, reveals something about how you could improve. Epictetus taught that events themselves are not inherently good or bad. It is our judgments about them that cause us trouble. By consciously reinterpreting an insult, not as a devastating blow, but as feedback or as a passing remark unworthy of deep concern, you rob it of its negative charge. Studies in cognitive psychology confirm that reappraisal can lessen stress and anxiety. Instead of spiraling into anger, you can view the insult as a puzzle to be solved or noise to be ignored. This mental shift places you back in control and prevents the disrespect from defining your mood or your self-esteem. The fourth principle encourages you to respond to disrespect with empathy rather than condemnation. Though counterintuitive, striving to understand why someone is behaving poorly can help you remain calm. Perhaps the individual is under immense stress, feeling unheard, or projecting their insecurities onto you. Seneca advised looking deeper into human behavior, and remembering that people who act out of malice or rudeness might be struggling internally. Empathy does not mean you accept mistreatment. Instead, it allows you to keep your emotional equilibrium. Research into conflict resolution shows that attempts to understand another person's perspective can diffuse tension and lead to more productive dialogues. By approaching disrespect with a compassionate mindset, you demonstrate emotional maturity, and you refuse to let negativity dictate your emotional state. Over time, you might find that by reacting with understanding rather than hostility, you create an environment where mutual respect can flourish. The fifth principle involves maintaining a sense of indifference to external opinions. This does not mean you never care what anyone thinks. Instead, it means that you carefully distinguish between which opinions matter and which do not. Epictetus cautioned us not to place our self-esteem in the hands of others. Insults are often surface-level judgments that say more about the insulter than the insulted. Instead of basing your worth on someone's harsh words, you learn to hold steady in the face of negative opinions. Your sense of self becomes anchored in your values, character, and consistent efforts toward personal growth. Research in psychology suggests that people who have an internal locus of evaluation, who measure themselves against their own standards rather than the judgments of others, tend to be more emotionally stable and resilient. By practicing this principle, you free yourself from the emotional roller coaster of seeking approval and validation from every passing observer. The sixth principle teaches us to use moments of disrespect as tests of character. Rather than seeing them as purely negative events, Stoics framed adversity as an opportunity to practice virtue. Think of it as mental weight training. You cannot build emotional resilience or patience unless something challenges you. Marcus Aurelius noted that our trials are like exercises that help us grow stronger. If someone disrespects you, this is your chance to practice patience, courage, restraint, and dignity. The insult becomes less about what was said and more about your growth in responding nobly. Over time, these challenges help you develop a steadier temperament. Research on stress inoculation training in psychology and military contexts similarly shows that facing controlled adversity builds resilience. By flipping the script and viewing disrespect as a training ground for your character, you empower yourself. This perspective not only helps you handle the current situation more gracefully, but also sets a precedent for how you deal with all future challenges. The seventh principle is about practicing non-attachment and letting go. Clinging to anger or resentment is like holding a hot coal with the intention of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. Stoicism encourages you to recognize that holding on to anger or the memory of an insult only prolongs your suffering. The sooner you let it go, the sooner you reclaim your peace of mind. Mindfulness-based stress reduction programs in modern psychology have shown that learning to release grudges or negative emotions leads to improved mental health and well-being. This does not mean you become apathetic to injustice. Rather, it means you do not allow negative emotions to embed themselves in your psyche. When you release resentment, you make space for constructive thoughts and actions. You free your mind to focus on what matters, rather than remaining stuck in the past. By practicing non-attachment, you ensure that your peace is not held hostage by another person's words or deeds. The eighth principle reminds you to maintain perspective and remember impermanence. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the fleeting nature of human life and events. He would ask himself, will this matter in a day, a week, a month, or a year? By zooming out and considering the big picture, insults and disrespect shrink from massive life-defining traumas to tiny blips on the radar of your life's journey. This shift in perspective helps you gain emotional distance. Psychological studies show that when people adopt a long-term perspective, they are better able to cope with stress and negative emotions. By imagining yourself looking back on the incident from the future, you might find it hardly worth your time. This realization can dissolve much of the emotional intensity and help you move forward with clarity. The ninth principle involves seeking constructive feedback and distinguishing it from empty criticism. But not all negative remarks are worthless. Sometimes what feels like disrespect could contain a nugget of truth that, if carefully examined, might help you grow. Stoicism teaches that being open to improvement is a sign of wisdom. Seneca argued that a wise person welcomes critique, for it can highlight areas for refinement. Of course, not all insults come packaged with insight. Often, cruel words are just that, cruel. The key is to learn to sift through comments, keep what is useful, and discard the rest. This approach resonates with modern workplace dynamics, where the ability to handle negative feedback and glean actionable insights is crucial for professional development. By training yourself to respond to negative input with curiosity rather than defensiveness, you transform these moments into opportunities for learning and growth, ultimately strengthening your skill set and character. The 10th principle urges you to reinforce your practice through daily Stoic exercises. Knowledge without action accomplishes little. It is through consistent, deliberate effort that philosophical principles become ingrained in your character. The Stoics recommended journaling, reflecting on your day's events, visualizing potential challenges, and preparing yourself mentally for future conflicts. Modern personal development experts and psychologists similarly emphasize the importance of habits and repetition in shaping our behavior. By setting aside time each morning or evening to internalize Stoic lessons, you create a reservoir of mental strength to draw upon when disrespect strikes unexpectedly. Over time, this daily conditioning will make calm, thoughtful responses second nature. Just as an athlete trains daily to excel in a sport, you cultivate these mental habits to excel in emotional resilience. Now that we have explored the 10 principles, consider how to integrate them seamlessly into your daily life. It starts with awareness, noticing the urge to react when someone disrespects you, and catching yourself before you tumble into automatic patterns. You can incorporate brief Stoic meditations in the morning to remind yourself of your values, visualize potential conflicts, and rehearse calm responses. Journaling in the evening can help you process the day's events, identify where you succeeded or struggled in applying these principles, and prepare yourself to do better tomorrow. Integrating physical exercise, proper sleep, and healthy eating can also support your emotional stability, as a well-cared-for body and mind handle stress more effectively. Over time, practicing these strategies turns them into a natural part of your mental landscape. You will find that what once provoked you no longer shakes your balance. Insults and disrespect will lose their power to derail your mood. Instead of reacting automatically, you will choose your responses deliberately, guided by wisdom and virtue. Real-life examples and case studies help us see these principles in action. Consider Nelson Mandela, who, after spending decades imprisoned under an unjust system, emerged not with bitterness and hatred, but with a remarkable capacity for understanding and reconciliation. Though not a Stoic philosopher, his approach mirrors the Stoic principle of turning hardship into moral strength. Similarly, many successful leaders, athletes, and entrepreneurs report that learning to handle criticism calmly played a key role in their achievements. They understood that success often attracts negativity, and by applying Stoic-like reasoning, they neutralized the emotional impact of harsh words and stayed focused on their long-term goals. In modern times, you can find numerous individuals in business, sports, and politics who attest to the power of controlled responses and a Stoic mindset. This does not mean you must become passive or emotionless. Instead, you learn to channel your emotional energy more productively. Scientific research on leadership often highlights emotional intelligence as a key factor for success, and Stoic principles align well with the core traits of emotional intelligence: self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and a focus on growth rather than blame. As you immerse yourself in these teachings, remember that Stoicism is not about quick fixes. It is about forging a resilient character that withstands the test of time. The Stoics understood that life would present many challenges, and insults are just one part of that tapestry. By consistently applying these principles, you train yourself to meet all sorts of adversity with dignity and grace. This transformation may not happen overnight, but each time you face disrespect and respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively, you strengthen the neural pathways that support calm, reasoned behavior. Over weeks, months, and years, you become someone who naturally handles conflict with composure. This personal development will not only benefit you, but also influence those around you. By setting an example of mindful self-control, you encourage others to reconsider their own reactions and perhaps choose a more constructive path in their interactions with you. Over time, you may find that the environment around you becomes more respectful and supportive, not through force, but through the quiet power of your consistent example. As you reflect on everything we have covered in this video, consider how these principles can reshape your understanding of conflict, respect, and personal agency. You are not powerless before the harsh words of others. You carry within you the ability to decide what insults mean, how they affect you, and how you respond. By applying Stoic thought, you enhance your emotional resilience, improve your relationships, and cultivate a sense of inner peace that remains steady even when others behave poorly. Stoicism does not promise a life free from hardship or disrespect, but it does promise that you can meet these hardships with greater wisdom and dignity. The more you practice, the more you will see disrespect not as a threat, but as a chance to deepen your understanding of yourself, refine your character, and prove to yourself that you can remain steadfast in your values. As we reach the conclusion of this video, it is time to turn theory into action. Consider choosing one of these principles and applying it the next time you encounter a disrespectful situation. Maybe you will practice pausing before reacting, or focus on reframing an insult to lessen its sting. Perhaps you will examine which comments truly matter and learn to disregard the rest. You can start small. Even a single shift in perspective can make a big difference. With each success, your confidence in these principles will grow, making it easier to apply them again in the future. Over time, these principles will become second nature, helping you handle not just disrespect, but also countless other challenges with greater wisdom, courage, and serenity. Now, to encourage engagement and action, here's a call to action. If these ideas resonate with you, do not let them remain abstract concepts. Put them into practice starting today. The next time someone disrespects you, remember at least one of these Stoic principles and apply it. Notice how you feel when you remain calm, maintain perspective, or choose empathy over anger. If this approach helps you handle the situation more constructively, share your experience with friends, family, or colleagues. If you found value in these insights, consider subscribing, leaving a comment, or sharing this video with others who might benefit from learning how to respond to disrespect in a more balanced, self-empowering way. By doing so, you not only reinforce your own understanding, but also help spread the Stoic wisdom that has guided countless individuals toward emotional resilience and personal growth. This video has taken you on a journey through ancient wisdom and modern insights, blending Stoic philosophy with contemporary psychological research and practical advice. The intention has been to provide you with a roadmap for responding to disrespect that not only minimizes emotional harm, but also transforms these moments into opportunities for virtuous action and personal development. These 10 Stoic principles, understanding what you can control, pausing before reacting, reframing insults, embracing empathy, maintaining indifference to unconstructive opinions, treating adversity as training, practicing non-attachment, holding perspective, distinguishing constructive feedback from empty criticism, and reinforcing these habits through daily exercises, collectively form a plan. They remind you that while you may not control other people's words or actions, you control how you interpret and respond to them. This recognition is liberating and empowering. The wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca lives on because their teachings are universally applicable. Just as they guided ancient rulers, soldiers, and citizens through tumultuous times, Their words can guide you through the modern challenges of interpersonal communication. Whether you face disrespect at work, at home, or online, these principles can help you remain calm, reasoned, and centered. Remember that the path to mastery is seldom linear. You may stumble or react poorly from time to time. These setbacks are not failures, but learning opportunities. Each time you reflect on a difficult interaction, identify what went well, what could be improved, and how you can apply Stoic principles more effectively next time. In this way, every experience, good or bad, becomes a stepping stone toward greater emotional resilience and self-understanding. In a world where heated arguments and hurtful words can erupt at any moment, those who have trained themselves to respond thoughtfully and steadily stand out. They become beacons of calm in stormy seas, inspiring others to consider a more measured approach. By living these Stoic principles, you contribute not only to your own well-being, but also to a more respectful and compassionate environment. Eventually, you might find yourself in the position to guide others through their own struggles with disrespect. By explaining how you have learned to apply these techniques, you become part of a chain of wisdom that extends back over centuries and forward into the future. This is the enduring gift of Stoic philosophy. It is practical wisdom, meant to be used and shared, a living tradition that evolves as it passes from one generation to the next. As you step away from this video and back into your daily life, keep these principles close to your heart. Revisit them when you face difficulties. Reflect on them when you feel slighted or insulted. Over time, you will notice that you are less shaken by harsh words, more secure in your self-worth, and better able to maintain your moral compass amid chaos. This transformation is the ultimate reward of applying Stoic philosophy, achieving a kind of inner serenity that external events cannot easily disturb. You become, as the Stoics intended, the ruler of your own mind, immune to the whims of others' judgments, and free to lead a life guided by reason, virtue, and integrity. If you found this video valuable, consider sharing it with someone who might benefit from these insights. Perhaps you know a friend who struggles with criticism at work, a family member who takes insults personally, or a colleague who is trying to become a more effective leader. By passing along these Stoic principles, you support their growth as well as your own. In the end, the mark of true wisdom is not just in personal gain, but in the positive influence it has on others. The Stoics would remind us that we are all interconnected. By elevating your own response to disrespect, you can help elevate the quality of interactions in your community. This ripple effect is precisely what makes Stoic philosophy so powerful. It is not a solitary endeavor, but a way of contributing to a more just and understanding world. As you move forward, remember that the journey does not end with this video. Continue exploring Stoic texts, such as Marcus Aurelius' Meditations, Epictetus' Discourses, and Seneca's Letters. Consider reading modern interpretations that make Stoicism accessible to today's readers, or perhaps join online communities where people share their experiences applying Stoic principles. The more you learn, the richer your understanding becomes, and the more naturally you will apply these lessons in your life. Over time, what might feel challenging now will become a deeply ingrained part of your character. This is the true power of Stoicism. It is a lifelong practice, one that offers limitless opportunities for refinement, growth, and empowerment. Your willingness to learn, reflect, and improve sets you on a path toward becoming the best possible version of yourself. A person who can stand firm against disrespect without losing sight of your values, integrity, and humanity. Now, take a moment to imagine your future self. Someone who meets insults with a calm smile, who pauses before reacting, who reinterprets harsh words to glean wisdom or discard them without pain, who maintains a steady sense of self-worth anchored in virtue rather than external approval, who sees adversity as an exercise of character, who can let go of grudges and focus on what truly matters, who keeps the big. This future self is not a distant ideal, but a plausible reality, achievable through patience, practice, and commitment to these Stoic principles. As you walk this path, You'll find that each small victory over your impulses, each moment of grace under pressure, and each decision to choose understanding over anger is a step closer to that resilient, composed individual you aspire to be. Thank you for investing your time in this video, absorbing these Stoic principles, and reflecting on how they can reshape your responses to disrespect. By applying these lessons to your life, you join a long lineage of seekers who have found in Stoicism a guide to tranquility, strength, and moral clarity. Keep practicing, keep learning, and keep refining your approach. In time, you will discover that by changing how you respond to disrespect, you are changing the narrative of your life, and possibly inspiring others to do the same. This is your opportunity to write a better story for yourself, one guided not by the sting of insults, but by the unshakable peace that comes from within. Now go forth, put these principles into action, and remember, you hold the power to transform adversity into a stepping stone toward your own greatness.